The impact of our venue on the local arts community is, that's the big question, isn't it? I don't know how to, I want to say an amazing impact. I don't know, you'd have to ask other people probably about what they think about us. I think for the people who are members currently or who have members, the feedback we've had on the whole has been really positive, that people would have not been able to do the things they've done, not been able to achieve things, not been able to move their careers on, not been able to go on to better things that have then made them leave us. We've had people, for example, one prison leaver kind of said, I'd probably have gone back to prison if I didn't have a place like this. We're currently helping someone write a visa application because he's going to get deported. Maybe there's like a social work side of what we end up doing. But no, and I think people, seeing people grow in confidence is really nice, and seeing people go on to get in amazing jobs or amazing commissions that, I want to take full responsibility for that, or I don't want Assembly House to take full responsibility for that, but people have said like, I wouldn't have had the confidence to apply for that thing or the space to do that thing or whatever, which is really nice. I think it's hard on the local arts community. We try and open it up as much as possible because it's so easy for it to become a closed door situation. We try and welcome other people in, try and give support to people that aren't just members here. We try and have events and things that are of interest and of use to other people. How successful we are in that, you'd have to ask other people. I think we are quite successful in that. But I think there's always a thing about having a building that is not publicly open all the time. Some people think we're a gallery all the time, and I'm kind of a bit pissed off or confused when we're not. And like, that would be the dream, but like, we just aren't. And so I think there's always that tension of like, are we doing enough? Because we do have the door shut 3 weeks out of the month, and then we open up for a week for a show, and you know what I mean? But then it's not possible for us at this level of funding to operate in any other way.
I think it's provided something that was missing from the ecosystem in Cornwall before, in terms of an independent venue of this type. Cornwall's got a really rich art scene, and there are lots of other venues doing really interesting things. But I think that in terms of a studios of this kind of type, which has that community of artists working in the building and an active programme where lots of the studio holders are involved in the programme, I think it just adds this kind of really interesting layer, and it creates a space where people feel that they can come together and sort of access culture together and have conversations. And there are lots of really interesting things which CAST does which aren't parts of an easily articulable programme, but which provide actually really interesting opportunities for critical dialogue in a quite kind of arts academic way, or an arts research way, an extended practice way. And one of the projects, which is a CAST project but which actually predates CAST, is something called the Cornwall Workshop, which doesn't run on a regular basis, but it's roughly every 2 to 3 years depending on funding, and is a small intensive workshop for around sort of 14 artists, writers, curators to come together and spend time with a lead artist who's normally someone of international renown, who's come in to just sort of, each artist runs the workshop in a completely different way, but it's a solid week of dialogue, walking, just thinking about art together in exchange.
It is award-winning, so I think it speaks for itself. And I'm very good at doing our annual report, which is visual as well as metrics and stats. That goes out to our database. I think we've about 2,000 or 3,000 on our database, but we need to grow it. And so in that annual report, it just shows the impact, because we're all in it together. It's not me going, look how good we are, it's all of us. So I know the impact on the community is large. One, because I wouldn't have set it up and continue doing it if I didn't have an absolute passion for it. But also, ours is community-led, and so I think the day we're not getting people through the doors, or it somehow business goes off a bit, and it can do, I think we just have to readdress what we're doing wrong. But at the moment, I have no problem with getting that feedback of the goodness of art for space in the community. And that's from participants, right, through to council, through to our funders and staff and that. So I try and get feedback from everyone.
Well, very positive, obviously.
A massive impact.
I mean, it is, you know, if our local arts community is, we're looking at St Ives, so I mean, you know, there's us, there's the Tate just down the road, so I mean, it's one of the things that's really special is the fact that normally galleries and artist studios are in different parts of the town, and here you've actually got, you know, this is where the art's created and that's where it's shown. They're very, you know, a couple of 100 yards apart. Very unique.
I mean, we're literally at the edge of the Atlantic Ocean, so...
Yeah.
Well, people have told us that they feel less lonely, you know, that they've made really, really good friends. And we do get quite a few people who have come to us through mental health charities, and we can help them as well. Yeah, the food larder as well is quite important.
It doesn't always get acknowledged, the impact. I don't know why people have strange relationships with us in that way. But in terms of, you know, citywide festivals, just the whole joined upness of the city and trying to move things forward. I think in Leeds it has been enormous. I've only just starting to learn to blow our own trumpet about that. 30 years, Karen leaving, the amount of messages that Karen got from artists who we've perhaps not seen for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, sending her messages saying this was the place that they grew up as an artist. Staff moving on. Nicola Greenan was someone who came to us. She worked for us a couple of years. She started work on the Catalyst programme. Arts Council Catalyst for us, became a co-director with myself and Karen. Left us to go to Bradford City Council. She brought Bradford 25 Capital of Culture into Bradford. Emma Beverley, incredible producer, worked with individual artists, was I think about to go to get a job in London, and we asked her to come and work for us as another co-director. Emma left to go and be executive producer at Leeds 23. Either myself or Karen have somewhere been at the beginnings of those discussions that have gone onto that thing, and then that thing, then that thing, and then have created that. And we've just done a bit of a show reflecting on some of our archive and some of the important things and how things have affected the next project, and just to see the longitudinalness of that. And for myself and Karen, we can draw the line from sort of something like we did, talking about working with the other studios that set up something called Networking November, which was just putting artwork in places like cafes and the Reba Architect's office that used to be here, a church in the city centre. We can now sort of draw right the way along to Leeds Light Night, which is massive, and that has been the line along that which it has travelled. And then other things like, so we've supported artist development programmes. So in 2000, we did it 2 years, twice, but the second year wasn't as well funded, which the Arts Council funded. We did. So in our transitionary year from East Street Mills, where we started, through the Capital project, and before we moved in here, it was more than a year. But I think for a year we were in there. Leeds City Council gave us like 3 rooms in the basement of the town hall. The basement being one of the routes out to the back of it, or the front of it, past the toilets. But being in the town hall was incredible. We had 3 rooms to do stuff in. We could use the town hall. We could come and go out of the town hall. And we ran a professional development programme out of there. And with 6 artists, 2 of those artists were Kerry Harker and Pippa Hale. And it was the first time they sort of met. And we worked with them on a couple of projects, looking at multiples after that. They went on to set another project up. Then they went on to set up Project Space Leeds. Project Space Leeds eventually became the Tetley in Leeds, and which has just lost its space. But so it's, the impact is there and it's quite tangible. That having this building and having had so many people come in and opening up to projects and artists to bring projects and do projects, and the fact that people could go away for 10 years and come back and we're still here, psychologically that's enormous. It is a psychological cornerstone for the visual arts in the city. We're not going to go away, and it's here. And I think that's been one of the most important things, and we hope it'll be the same for the community. After three summer schools, 3 years of summer schools, we will now have the kids come and knock on the door, coming to paint their it was one family particularly, end of year, school year, wanting to decorate their brother's shirt for him for his last day at school, asking can they come in and use some paints and stuff. I mean, honestly, that's the bit that does for me as well, that legacy bit, because it's just like, oh God, shit a brick, this is, yeah.
So I'm not to be completely honest, I'm not sure. I think there's a lot more visibility that could be had from that. I do know that we have been leading the market in terms of hobby pottery, so I can speak generally. I know for a fact that there's now multiple small ceramic studios arriving in areas around where we are. And I think that's directly because people come to courses and then find one close to home. I think it does operate in a marketplace in terms of its impact on the local community. So providing or generating interest in the service is really important. Maybe more of the community aspect is that we've sort of started to incubate a new one, really. I think for here particularly, because of where we are, we're in an old industrial estate in East London, which is being sort of, refining its kind of like meaning in the new city. And I think making spaces are becoming a centre of new communities. We have close relationships with other businesses working in the area who are start-up businesses. They will do regular community events. We had an open day 2 months ago as part of the William Morris Design Line, organised by the council, and that saw all of the local units around here opening up to members of the public. So you have people who, I was there on the day, and you had people coming from Walthamstow around the corner going, oh my God, so I never knew this was here, and they got to see the wood workshop downstairs and come and see some makers up here. And I think really starting to reach out and just remind people that there is these kind of creative things happening in their area. We're looking into working more closely with the council in the future to start generating some real community-led specific events for the local area.
On local arts community and general local community, I think in particular this one, arts community, so for the last 12 years we have been supporting the emerging artists within the region. So we can see a lot of artists that come through our doors. Then we can, and I love that, I absolutely love that, to see them progressing and their careers growing and they become successful. It's really great to see that. So I think having this space where they can come and really, especially graduate artists, come and really have that safe space to continue their practice and not worry about where am I going to go and what am I going to do and how to make work. And
I hope that it has supported people to stay in the cultural sector. That it's given people a sense of hope and possibility and trust that even if it's few and far between, there are places where people will say yes to you rather than no. You know, I'd like people to say that we help them start or stay in the industry.